Hello to everyone. This is section 7.2, Big Ideas Geometry. And we want to review a little bit of what we learned in 7.1, and that's how to find the interior angles of a polygon. And if we remember, the sum of the interior angles is equal to n minus 2 times 180, where n is equal to our number of sides. So if we look at this one right here, they give us the sum, and we have to figure out the number of sides. So we get that the sum is 2,880, and that's going to be n minus 2 times 180. Well, we can divide by 180. I kind of ran out of room, so I'll just put it down here. That's 16 equals n minus 2, because those cancel. Add 2, and n is 18. So we can just call this an 18 gon. Okay, easy enough. Now it also wants to know the measure of the interior angles of an octagon. Well, an octagon has 8, so this is going to be n minus 2 times 180. Well, n is 8 because it's an octagon like we said. So this is really 6 times 180. So grab your calculator real quick and do 6 times 180. Well, we get 1,080. Okay, easy enough. So that's just a review from 7.1. Now today, we're going to be learning about parallelograms and the properties that they have. So what are the properties of a parallelogram? Well, first, what's a parallelogram? Well, it's a quadrilateral that has a pair of parallel sides. And just a reminder, to mark our parallel sides, we put little arrows. So these sides are parallel, and these sides are parallel. So that's the definition of a parallelogram. A quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides parallel. And these are your opposite sides, meaning they don't touch. So the orange are opposites, the reds are opposites. So parallelograms have some properties that we need to know. The first one is that the opposite sides are congruent. So in this parallelogram, the opposite sides are congruent. And remember, opposite don't touch. So these are congruent, and these are congruent. Similarly, opposite angles are congruent. So opposite sides and opposite angles are congruent. So here we go. Now that we have those properties, we can solve some things for our parallelograms. So I've got this parallelogram here, and it says find x and y. Well, I know since it's a parallelogram, this and this are equal. So I get x plus 4 equals 12. Minus 4, and x is 8. Additionally, since it's a parallelogram, I know that these are equal, and I get y equals 65. But that one's already solved. So there we go. I'm done. I found my two answers, 8 and 65. Moving on, let's just do some more. It says find FG and find G. Let's see, FG is the opposite side of 8. In a parallelogram, those are equal, so FG is 8. Angle G is opposite of angle E, And in a parallelogram, those are equal. So G has to be 60. All right, let's keep it going. Opposite sides are equal, so we get y plus 3 equals 18. And opposite angles are congruent or equal. So minus 3, y is 15. Divide by 2, x is 25. So, easy enough. Set your opposites equal to each other. Now, something else happens here, and that's that the same side angles add to equal 180, and also that our diagonals bisect each other. Which creates 2 equal halves. As you see here, since this bisects and this bisects, we get this half and this half are equal. This half and this half are equal. There we go. So same side angles. So these add to 180, these add to 180, these add to 180, these add to 180. All of those same side angles add to equal 180. And also our diagonals bisect each other, which creates 2 equal halves. So let's solve some with that. All right, so we've got this parallelogram, and it tells us that ADC is 110, and it wants us to find BCD. Well, since these angles are on the same side, I know they add to be 180. And now I've got something I can solve using Algebra 1 skills. So x is 70. Okay. So what you need to be able to do is use your properties mostly. So let's keep doing these. And ooh, now we've got a little bit of everything here. Well, let's just go through it. I know that these have to be equal because they're opposite sides, and opposite sides are equal. So I get A is 2. Now let's do B. These are opposite sides, so they have to be equal. Looks like I might have erased something, sorry. So this should be 2B minus 6 equals 18. Add 6, 2B is 24. Divide by 2, and B is 12. Keep going. C. Well, these are opposite angles, so they're also equal. So we get C minus 3 equals 57. So we add 3, C is 60. Keep working your way around. Well, I know that this is 57, and D is on the same side, so these two angles, D and 57, have to add to equal 180. So D is 123. Going with E, now we have our diagonals. So this half has to equal this half. So E minus 4 equals 9. So add 4, and E is 13. And finally, our last one. But again, these are also diagonals, so this half has to equal this half. So F divided by 2 equals 12. Times by 2, times by 2, and F is 24. So there are all of the properties of a parallelogram. Everything you would need to know. Now there's one last section or part of this section that we need to look at. Now this would be extra credit because this is kind of difficult and not something I'd necessarily expect you to be able to do. But it's finding the coordinates of the intersection of the diagonals. And that's just kind of a fancy way of saying, find the midpoint. So here we go. I've got parallelogram LMNO. L is at 1, 4, and these are not the actual locations of these, but that's okay. We don't actually need the locations. And we need to find the midpoint of these diagonals. Well, if we remember, midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So let's just find this one. So it's going to be 7 plus 0 right here. So 7 plus 0 divided by 2, comma 4 plus 0. And maybe I'll do that in a different color so it's easier to see. 4 plus 0 divided by 2. All right. So simplify. 7 plus 0 is 7 over 2. 4 plus 0 is 4 over 2. And that ends up being 3.5, comma 2. And there's your answer. All right, so that's section 7.2. Make sure you practice the homework, and we'll see you next time.